Welcome. It is the Nisha Jackson Show. I'm Rusty Humphries. That's Nisha Jackson. We appreciate you being here. This is a good show if you want to have the good life. Before we get going, hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss anything, the notification button, and go to nishajackson.com. So, last time we were in the middle of a great show and I stopped you. And because there's just so much information, I didn't want to overload anybody. But this was tips on how to live a good life.
Right, from the Stoics.
From the Stoics.
Yeah, so this is a compilation of information that came from people that are called Stoics. And Stoics are people that have endured a lot of pain, a lot of hardship, but they didn't crumble. They didn't complain, and they got through it. So that's the definition of a Stoic. So they asked Stoics, what would be some things that you felt in your lifetime allowed you to get through very difficult hardships? So these are some of those things, and I love sharing them because I love reading this kind of stuff, and sometimes we just have to hear these things over and over again. I never worry about saying these things that maybe they're repeating in our shows,
right? Because
sometimes people have to hear things 7 times before they really, find value in it or start doing it or pick it up.
And the other thing I think is, even if you get one thing out of it, it's like going to a conference, you spend $1,000 to go to a conference across the country. Mm-hmm. If I learn one thing, I'm pretty happy.
Right.
And this one's got a whole bunch of sweet nuggets.
Yeah.
So.
No, they're wonderful. I mean, and it's so different than your typical list. So this is show number 2. Right off the bat, value time more than money or possessions. And I was thinking about this because it's so easy today, especially, or really any time, to not really put a value on time and to always be thinking about money and possessions and always working.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I think we need to say it's enough, and I'm totally speaking to myself right now, is at the end of the day, when it is enough, is to value the time you have with your family. Value the time that you have with your loved ones. Value the time that you have with yourself to go out and take a walk or go out and exercise or do something good for yourself. Maybe it's time to think about our time and not be thinking about working all the way up until bedtime every day.
Right.
So that was a good one. Forgive. Hugely important. It's so obvious that the only person that really gets hurt when you don't forgive is you.
Yeah.
So it's not the other person that you're not forgiving, it's you. So whoever has wronged you, I know you have something to say about this, whoever has wronged you, whoever you don't agree with that has said something about you or done something directly to you or some mishap at work or lack of whatever it is, business deal gone bad, forgive.
Yeah.
Because if you're not able to forgive, you will not live as long. You will definitely not live as happy of a life. And the problem is you're the only person that's going to suffer in the relationship is you. So just forgive. It doesn't mean you have to forget it, but you do have to forgive.
And it's hard. I've been through a thing, and you know about it, that was absolutely devastating. And when I was in that point when I hadn't forgiven, I got real sick.
Yeah, you did.
And, I think that was stress, everything else that goes along with that. And the more I've forgiven and moved on, the better I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
you haven't forgiven, and I'm really glad you said that because this applies to you. You know that you have not forgiven if every time you get a chance, you bring up the situation again.
Oh, I just did it.
And you don't bring it up anymore.
Oh, okay,
it used to be a conversation of topic about how bad this thing went with Rusty in the past. And it would be weaved into every conversation we would have. He doesn't talk about it at all anymore. He's moved on. He's worked on forgiveness even this last year, a retreat that we went to together in Costa Rica. Forgive. So if you get a chance to do it or you find yourself continuing to bring up the same topic, just think about forgiveness. So to do wrong to one is to do I can't say it.
To do wrong to one is to do wrong to yourself. So you do something bad to somebody else, you're really doing something bad to yourself.
That's right.
I'm glad I could read that.
That ties right into forgiveness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I want to talk about journaling because this is something that Rusty and I have been kind of geeking out on lately, is how important it is to journal. Because it's so important to find a tool to be able to get your thoughts, your plans, your emotions, your thankfulness, your gratitude out on paper.
Now, are you like the queen of journaling? Because we went to Rhythmia. You were on a bed thing next to us, and there was a friend of mine, and we're looking at you. You've got like this whole spread of stuff, and you're just writing away. It was crazy.
Love journaling. I've journaled most of my life. I mean, I have bags of journals. I've told my daughters, if I die, I want you to take these straight to the burn pile and burn these suckers. Do not think that you could get a book out of this. Just burn them. Because I use them to just express how I'm feeling and what I'm going through, and no one needs to be exposed to that, right? It's just
Do you go back and read them, or do you just find by writing it you get something?
No, just by writing it. You don't need to go back and read them unless you want to. I certainly don't want to read all that stuff again. And I really haven't, except for if I want to know like how I worked through something, I would go back and read them, but there's so many of them I probably wouldn't. But it's so good to be able to get that out. And there's a lot of different ways you can journal. It might just be, taking a quote that you love and then just saying how you feel about that quote. It could be just a gratitude journal. It could be, how crappy do I feel journal. It could be at the end of your day, which is an interesting thing with journaling, because the research shows that if you journal at the end of your day about what you learned that day and how you felt about that day and what you're processing, that your quality of sleep at night will be dramatically improved. Isn't that interesting? It's just a way of getting it out. Any emotions that we take in, which there's a lot in any one given day, that we don't process and acknowledge and work through, and journaling is one of those ways, it gets stored in our subconscious. And we don't really have the ability to access that or work through it later once it's stored. And we realize now that that's a way that the body becomes ill. The body becomes ill because we have things, emotions, unprocessed emotions and feelings in our subconscious that we're not able to access.
And it sounds goofy, and if you had told me this 5 years ago, I'd laugh at you. And I lived it.
It's true. Yeah. So being able, journaling is just one of those ways of processing things as they come in, so they're not stored to make you sick later.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could talk a lot about that.
We should do a whole show on journaling.
I know, we're going to do a whole show on journaling.
Okay.
Fate behaves as she pleases. Do not forget this. Some things just happen, right?
There's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can do about it. Just a couple more. Live as if you've died and then come back. Every minute from there is a bonus.
I mean, you had a real scary experience in your life where you almost died, right? Was it a diving thing?
Yes.
We talked about that a long time ago.
20 years now, yeah.
And do you feel that? I mean, when you came back, did you feel like, oh my goodness, I've got a chance of life again?
Mm-hmm. I think, those last few moments before I clinically drowned, I knew it wasn't my time, and it was so painful. Drowning is actually not a good way to go, by the way. It's very painful. But those last few moments before it happened, I just knew, I relived those moments, those 15, 30, 1 minute total amount of time when I realized that I'm about to die. I've relived that a lot, and what it does for me is that it makes me realize, makes me acknowledge my mortality for sure, that we're all going to die. But how do you live your life here, and what are you meant to do? So that's really sent me the last 20 years on this quest to want more from my life and to learn more and to give more. So if we just do this thing that these Stoics recommend, is live as if you've died and then come back, and every minute from that time is a bonus. Mm-hmm. So that's a really good mindset to have, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like this. The best revenge is just to not be like that. So whatever it is that you just would like to wring somebody's neck for, is the best revenge is just to never be like that. And maybe that happened to you to teach you not to be like that. Don't you wonder that sometimes? Is maybe I learned that and had to go through that just so I wouldn't make the mistake of being like that.
Well, and think about all the bad things that happened to you in your life, and you look back and you go, man, it's kind of glad it did happen. Right? Like there is a plan.
Right. Mm-hmm. There is a plan. There's always a plan. Focus on the process and not the outcomes. That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be patient and just know if you hit a wall or you hit a stop sign or you find that something's not working that you really wanted to work, just know that it's probably the process that you need to be on to get you where you need to go. And listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. It's there for a reason. And usually your energy and your intuition, not usually, it will never lie to you, ever. So trust that process and just know that things that happen to you when you trust it is the process that needs to happen, not the outcome. Don't be fixed on the outcome, because typically we're not smart enough to really figure out the outcome, but we're smart enough to trust the process. So allow yourself to do that.
Good stuff.
That's it.
Well, that's it. All right, well.
That's it.
We can't top that, so I'd go back and take notes and maybe journal on this while you're at it.
Yes, journal. Yeah. Get one of those. There's so many cool journal books now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We should get a Nisha Jackson journal book and people could buy that.
Yeah, and then have little quotes at the top. I love quotes.
Quotes are good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you get that going for me?
Sure. Got nothing else going on.
Trust the process.
There we go. All right. Until I get the journal out, please hit the subscribe button if you would, and also the notification thing so you'll know every time the new Nisha Jackson show comes out, about every Tuesday though. And go to nishajackson.com for more information. And if you want to ask a question to Nisha, well, go to your email and type in info@nishajackson.com and ask a question. And make it a good one. Maybe we'll do a show on it.
That's right.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. We'll catch you next time. For Nisha Jackson, I'm Rusty Humphries, and this is the Nisha Jackson Show.